My cheating ex texted, "We just need you at our wedding for closure." 3 years after I caught her with my best friend, I replied, "No thanks," and went back to my life, until mutual friends started asking why my absence terrified them. This is going to sound petty, but I need to know if I'm being reasonable because everyone keeps telling me to just get over it, and honestly, I'm starting to question my own sanity. I'm Jake, 32, work as a project manager for a mid-size construction company here in Denver. 3 years ago, my life imploded in the most cliché way possible. I walked in on my girlfriend of 2 years, Madison, and my best friend since high school, Trevor, going at it in Trevor's living room. Not some drunken mistake, not some emotional affair that got out of hand, but a full-blown relationship that had apparently been going on for months behind my back. The details don't really matter. What matters is that I lost two of the most important people in my life in the span of about 30 seconds. The girlfriend I thought I might marry, and the friend I'd stood up for in countless bar fights, helped move apartments 4 times, and called when my dad died. I handled it the way I handle everything, like a construction project. Cut out the damaged materials, assess what's salvageable, rebuild from a solid foundation, blocked both their numbers, unfriended them on everything, packed up Madison's stuff, and left it on her sister's porch, and moved to a different part of town where I wouldn't accidentally run into them at the grocery store. For 3 years, I've stuck to that plan. Built a new life, got promoted twice, bought a house in Lakewood, started dating again when I felt ready. The no-contact thing wasn't about being dramatic. It was about protecting the foundation I was trying to rebuild. Some relationships can't be repaired, and I wasn't interested in trying. Which brings me to last Tuesday. Madison texted me. I'd blocked her calls years ago but kept texts unblocked in case of work emergencies or actual important stuff. The message was long, too long, but the gist was that she and Trevor are getting married in 6 weeks and they want me there. Not just invited. Want me there. For closure. To heal old wounds. So we can all move forward as adults. I stared at that text for maybe 10 minutes, trying to figure out what universe these people live in where the person they betrayed owes them closure. My response was simple. No thanks. Best of luck. That should have been the end of it. Instead, Madison sent another message. Longer this time. About how they've grown as people, and how important my forgiveness is to them. How they know what they did was wrong, but they've built something beautiful together, and they want me to be part of celebrating it. The audacity of that statement is still blowing my mind. They want me to celebrate the relationship that started with them lying to my face for months. They want me to watch them promise to be faithful to each other when their entire foundation is built on infidelity. I didn't respond to the second message. But apparently silence isn't an acceptable answer because now mutual friends are getting involved. My buddy Mike called yesterday saying Madison reached out to him asking if I'm okay, if there's something else going on that's making me hold on to anger for so long. Mike, to his credit, told her to leave me alone. But he also asked if maybe I should consider going, just to put it all to rest. Here's what I don't think people understand. I'm not holding on to anger. I let go of anger 3 years ago when I decided to build a life that doesn't include people who lie to my face and betray my trust. This isn't about punishment or revenge. It's about consequences. When you blow up someone's life for your own happiness, one of the consequences is that they might not want you in their life anymore. When you choose to prioritize your own desires over loyalty and honesty, one of the consequences is that the person you hurt might not be interested in helping you feel better about your choices. I'm not angry at Madison and Trevor. I'm indifferent to them. But indifference apparently isn't good enough. They need my active participation in absolving their guilt. The wedding is at some upscale venue in downtown Denver. I looked it up online. 150 guests, professional photographer, the whole 9 yards. They're not struggling financially. Both have good jobs. This isn't some small, intimate gathering where my presence or absence would really matter logistically. So why do they need me there so badly that they're enlisting mutual friends to pressure me? I think I know why, and it's making me more committed to staying away than ever. Update 1. So it's been 2 weeks since my original post and things have gotten weirder. I thought saying no would be the end of it, but apparently Madison and Trevor have made my attendance some kind of mission. Last weekend, I had 3 separate friends reach out to me about this wedding. Not people I talk to regularly, but guys from our old group who I see maybe twice a year at barbecues or whatever. All with basically the same message. Madison and Trevor are really sorry and just want peace, and my absence is going to ruin the vibe and make everyone uncomfortable. That last part was what made everything click for me. This isn't about my healing. This isn't about closure or growth or any of that therapeutic language Madison keeps using. This is about them feeling awkward at their own wedding because people are going to notice I'm not there and wonder why. I started asking these mutual friends some questions. Casual stuff, like how Madison and Trevor have been doing, whether they seem happy, that kind of thing. And here's what I learned. Their relationship has been rocky as hell. They've broken up twice in the past 3 years. Once for 6 months, once for 2. They only got engaged 4 months ago after going through couples therapy because Madison was apparently having doubts about whether they were meant to be together. One of my friends, Ryan from work, put it perfectly. They want you there because seeing you happy for them would prove they made the right choice. Your absence confirms they blew up something good for something that doesn't even work. That hit me like a truck because it's exactly right. Here's what I think is really happening. Madison and Trevor know their relationship is built on a cracked foundation. Every fight they have, every time things get difficult, they're reminded that they started by betraying someone who trusted them both. They can't escape the fact that their love story begins with deception. Having me at their wedding, smiling, congratulating them, playing the role of the gracious ex who's moved on, would let them rewrite that story. Instead of, we betrayed Jake and destroyed our friend group, it becomes everyone's happy and supportive, even Jake. My absence, on the other hand, is a permanent reminder that their relationship has a body count. Every empty seat in that venue represents someone who got hurt along the way. The more I think about it, the more I realize this has nothing to do with me, and everything to do with their guilt. I had coffee with my sister Emma yesterday and told her about all this. Emma's a nurse practitioner, super practical, usually tells me when I'm being unreasonable. Her take was interesting. They're asking you to do emotional labor for them, she said. They want you to manage their guilt so they can enjoy their wedding without facing what they did. That's not your job. She's right. I'm not responsible for making them feel better about their choices. But here's where it gets more complicated. Emma also thinks I should consider going, not for them, but for me. Her argument is that showing up proves I'm genuinely over it, that I'm confident enough in my own life that being around them doesn't affect me. If you're really indifferent to them, what's the harm in a few hours? She asked. I couldn't answer that in the moment, but I've been thinking about it since, and I think I figured out why the idea bothers me so much. It's not that I can't handle being around them. I probably could. It's that attending their wedding would be participating in a lie. They want me there as evidence that what they did wasn't that bad, that the damage was minimal, that everyone moved on and everything worked out. But that's not true. What they did was pretty bad. The damage was significant. People didn't just move on. I had to completely rebuild my social life and my ability to trust people. And while everything did work out for me eventually, it worked out because I cut them out, not because I forgave them. My presence would be giving them permission to tell a story about their relationship that erases the real cost of how it started. I'm not doing that. Update 2. So remember how I said I was starting to understand their motivations? Turns out I was giving them too much credit. The real reason is actually worse than I thought. This week I found out what Madison has been telling people about our breakup, and honestly, it explains everything. My sister Emma knows Madison's sister through work. They're both nurse practitioners, and ended up at the same conference last weekend. Emma wasn't planning to bring up the wedding situation, but Madison's sister mentioned it first. Apparently, Madison has been telling people that I never really cared about the relationship, and moved on immediately to downplay the impact of what she did. According to her version of events, I was already checked out of our relationship, which is why she found comfort with Trevor. She's been painting our breakup as mutual and drama-free. The problem with that story is that several people remember how things actually went down. They remember me showing up at Trevor's place looking like I'd been hit by a truck. They remember me basically disappearing from our friend group for 6 months. They remember the very obvious fact that I was devastated. So Madison's revisionist history isn't landing the way she wants it to. People know she's lying, which makes her look worse, not better. Here's where it gets really pathetic. Madison's parents and some of her older friends know the real story about how her relationship with Trevor started. Having me at the wedding would allow her to point to me and say, "See, even Jake supports us now. He's moved on and he's happy for us." My absence, on the other hand, is a constant reminder that their relationship began with betrayal. Every person who asks, "Where's Jake? I thought you guys were friends," forces them to either lie or admit that their love story has some ugly chapters. Emma's conversation with Madison's sister revealed something else interesting. Madison is genuinely anxious about the wedding. Not normal bride nerves, but actual anxiety about whether people will judge them, whether the day will feel cursed, whether their relationship can survive the social scrutiny. She keeps saying she just wants everyone to be happy and celebrate with them, Madison's sister told Emma. But I think she's scared people are going to be thinking about how it all started instead of focusing on where they are now. Well, yeah, that's what happens when you build something on a foundation of lies and betrayal. People remember. Trevor, meanwhile, has been reaching out to some of our mutual guy friends with a different approach. He's been playing the bros before hoes card, ironically considering he's the one who broke that rule in the first place. My friend Ryan told me Trevor called him asking if he could talk sense into me about the wedding. Trevor's argument was that their friendship was more important than some girl, and that I'm letting pride get in the way of repairing something meaningful. The balls on this guy. He destroyed our 14-year friendship for some girl, and now he wants me to prioritize that same friendship over my own boundaries because it's convenient for him. Ryan's response was perfect. You made your choice 3 years ago. Jake's making his choice now. You don't get to have it both ways. But here's what really sealed it for me. I found out that Madison has been telling people that if I don't show up, it'll prove I'm still hung up on her. That my absence is evidence I haven't moved on. The manipulation in that statement is breathtaking. Show up to her wedding and validate her choices, or don't show up and have her tell people it's because I'm still in love with her. That's when I realized this isn't about closure or healing or any of the therapy speak she's been using. This is about control. She wants to control the narrative about what happened between us, and she needs my participation to make her preferred version stick. Well, here's the thing about construction projects. Sometimes you have to let a building collapse instead of trying to prop up something that was built wrong from the start. I'm not going to help Madison and Trevor feel better about their choices. I'm not going to validate their relationship by pretending it didn't start with betrayal. And I'm sure as hell not going to let Madison weaponize my absence as proof that I'm still hung up on her. I've got something better planned. Final update. So the wedding was last Saturday. I didn't go, obviously. But I also didn't just sit at home wondering what was happening. I had a plan. Saturday morning, about 2 hours before their ceremony, I sent a group text to Madison, Trevor, and their entire wedding party. The message was simple. Having a great Saturday. Thanks for the reminder of what real loyalty looks like. Enjoy explaining my absence to your guests. Jay. Along with a photo of me at my favorite brewery with Ryan and 2 other friends, all of us clearly having a good time. I knew exactly what that message would do, and it did exactly what I intended. Within an hour, I had texts from 3 different wedding party members asking what happened, what the message meant, whether everything was okay. This forced Madison and Trevor to spend their wedding morning fielding questions about why I wasn't there and what my cryptic message was about. Instead of getting ready for their perfect day, they had to deal with their groomsmen and bridesmaids suddenly asking uncomfortable questions about the history they'd been trying to gloss over. Ryan, who knows some of their wedding party through work connections, told me the prep time was tense as hell. Apparently, Madison broke down crying in the bridal suite, not from happiness, but from stress about whether people were going to spend the whole wedding talking about my absence instead of celebrating their marriage. Mission accomplished. Here's what I learned from mutual friends who attended. The wedding had weird energy. People kept asking where I was, especially the older folks who remembered Trevor and me as inseparable in high school and college. Madison's relatives were asking her mom why Jake wasn't there, forcing explanations about growing apart that everyone knew were bullshit. The reception was worse. During the best man's speech, Trevor's brother made some comment about the friends who've been with us through everything. And several people in the audience looked around confused because obviously I wasn't there, and I was the friend everyone associated with Trevor. Madison apparently broke down again during the reception, when someone at her table mentioned they thought I was supposed to be there. She had to excuse herself to the bathroom, and Trevor had to follow her out, leaving their own reception to manage her anxiety about my absence. But here's the part that really drives home how fucked up their whole situation is. I heard from Emma that Madison's sister spent part of the reception explaining to people that Madison and Trevor grew apart from some old friends, and that sometimes people can't handle change. Even at their own wedding, they couldn't tell the truth about what happened between us. The best part, 3 different people who attended the wedding reached out to me afterward, people I haven't talked to in years, saying they finally understood why I cut contact and that they respected my choice. One guy told me he'd lost respect for Trevor years ago but never said anything because it wasn't his business. Turns out a lot of people saw through Madison and Trevor's bullshit, but didn't want to get involved in the drama. My strategic absence gave them permission to acknowledge what they'd been thinking all along. 6 months later, I can report that things have played out exactly like I expected. Madison and Trevor's marriage got off to a rocky start because their wedding highlighted their guilt instead of celebrating their love. When you spend your wedding day explaining why certain people aren't there instead of focusing on the people who are, it sets a pretty grim tone for the marriage. I heard through Emma that they had a huge fight on their honeymoon because Madison was still upset about how the wedding went. She blamed Trevor for not handling the situation with Jake better, and he blamed her for making it a bigger deal than it needed to be. Both of them were right, which is the problem. They created a situation where their wedding day was partially overshadowed by the ghost of their betrayal, and they're both responsible for that. Ryan told me Trevor reached out to him a few months after the wedding, asking if I might be open to clearing the air now that they're married. Ryan's response was perfect. Jake's been clear for 3 years. You're the ones who keep making it complicated. I never responded to that overture, and I won't. Not because I'm angry, but because I genuinely don't care about their marriage or their guilt or their need for my validation. They made their choices, I made mine, and the consequences have played out exactly as they should have. Last month I got a promotion to senior project manager. Bought a bigger house in Highlands Ranch. Started dating someone who actually understands the difference between loyalty and convenience. My life is exactly what I wanted it to be when I started rebuilding 3 years ago. Trevor's insurance agency laid him off 2 weeks ago. Budget cuts. Emma heard through Madison's sister that they're having marriage problems because Madison blames their financial stress on unresolved issues from their past that are affecting Trevor's work performance. I'm not celebrating their struggles because I'm not that petty. But I will say this. When you build something on a foundation of betrayal and lies, don't be surprised when structural problems emerge down the line. You can't renovate character flaws with a wedding ceremony. The final message I sent them was 6 months after their wedding, when news of my promotion made it through our mutual friend network. Heard through friends your first year was rough. Building something new on a cracked foundation never works. Hope you figure that out. Don't contact me again. I blocked their numbers after that. Not out of anger, but because some chapters need to stay closed.